Hi friends, welcome to God Focus this morning. The title of today's episode, Standing in the Gap. Today we're going to explore where the phrase standing in the gap originated. As I was reading the other day, I came across a chapter that made me think about the state of our country. When paganism, witchcraft, voodoo, and idol worship is mentioned, people often think about it being on a small island. They think that only primitive people practice such things. These things, added to idol worship of those in Hollywood, encompasses the total moral decline of our country. The 22nd chapter of Ezekiel goes into great detail about how morally bankrupt Jerusalem had become. It sounds a lot like America today. Notice verse 30. Ezekiel 22 and 30. And I sought for a man among them that should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should destroy it, but I found none. I have to wonder, is God saying the same thing today? I felt like this was a call for all of us to pray. Then I started to think about the use of the word hedge. In Bible times, a hedge was a fenced-in area built of shrubs and vines to create a large area that protected the sheep from wolves and predators. The area was surrounded by shrubs and vines, and on the outside, away from the sheep, many even had thorns. The area inside the hedge only had one opening for the sheep to enter and exit. In that opening, the shepherd would stand. This was to prevent anything from coming in to destroy the sheep. The shepherd also prevented the sheep from getting out and going astray. He literally stood in the only opening there was. He stood in the gap. God has a spiritual hedge around his people, and he is at the gap of the gate. Satan cannot touch us except God allows it from time to time to keep us strong. Look at the story of Job. Satan said to God, Job 1 and 10, Hast not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. We may not understand why he allows things in our lives, but it is for a purpose. God told Satan he could do what he wanted with Job, except touch him physically. The enemy sent liars to tell Job that all he had was gone. He was told that all his children were dead. Job 1 and 20. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. In the midst of all the pain and disappointment of what he was told, he fell down and worshiped the Lord. This is a powerful lesson for us. It doesn't matter what we face in life. We need to keep looking up and giving God praise and worship. Satan again approached God and said, If you'll allow me to touch him, then he will curse you. And God said, Do what you will, but do not take his life. And God let down the hedge of protection. Many things came against Job's health, including painful boils. On top of all the grief over his family and his body being under attack. Then his wife came and said, Why don't you just curse God and die? His friends were miserable comfort to him. He was all alone except for God, whom he could not hear at that moment. Job 42, 10 through 13. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. We do not want to be like those who came to comfort Job. They didn't do anything to encourage him. We want to stand in the gap and pray for those who are in the grip of the enemy. We need to stand in the gap for this country and all those around us. It is time for revival. We must pray for the lost to come to know Christ. Remember, the only way the enemy can get to the sheep is through the gap of the hedge. Jesus is standing in his way. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be bold, Be brave and keep your God focus. Like, share, and subscribe for more encouragement. Have a wonderful day.